that I come from. I just am a graduate of their investor readiness program, and I'm really, really proud of that. There are so many people on this call. Some of them I worked from at Publicis, some of them from McDonald, some of them from Best Buy, some of them from my consulting days, from Luxottica, other organizations. But from a background standpoint, some of you have actually been mentors to me in these organizations, and collectively, the folks that I have worked with here, we've definitely impacted more than 100,000 Canadians here in Canada, and made impact not only on their careers but on their businesses. And so I come very humbled from a 25-year career in operations in 11 different sectors, and across those 11 sectors, my specialty was more around people and people operations. So a lot of HR type roles, but really around how to get people rallied around a vision or a goal, and getting them going. So that's a little bit about my background. But specifically today, coming out of the investor readiness program, I wanted to share my story, and I wanted to kind of pick up after or the later stages of my corporate career. So earlier, again, I spent time at McDonald's for almost a decade, Best Buy, Future Shop for almost a decade, Spin Master, RSA, several organizations. But something happened in the later stage, and there's two gentlemen here on the screen right now. You see on the left, his name is Ronen Harari, and Anton Rabi, and they were quite inspirational in some funny way to me. They are the founders, along with Benny, for Spin Master, and Spin Master is an amazing organization, a behemoth in the toy industry. They have Paw Patrol, which is a major franchise, and they have Hatchimals and all these other organizations. And some of us that are on the call, we all helped these two gentlemen kind of grow this business post-IPO, post initial public offering, and start acquiring organizations, taking intellectual property through a life cycle, and creating product, both digital and physical. And it was quite extraordinary. And what I loved about these guys, they were pretty humble guys. They were down to earth, but they did surround themselves with amazing and talented people. And something also funny happened from that time. So I started there in 2016. Anton and Ronen actually had me work on their one of their programs with Futurepreneur Canada, which helps a lot of startups here. And they gave almost like $1 million to this program. And me and a couple other folks, we were chairing this committee that would help with donation or investments into the startup ecosystem here in Canada. And Ronen was very, very committed to this. And he always said how he just wants to help other organizations just like someone helped him. And he also really wanted to be a catalyst to the Canadian economy. So Futurepreneur, plus this innovation fund, plus my master's in the fourth industrial revolution and the application of all this new tech that's out there, plus learning more about the United Nations sustainability goals, kind of really pushed me to think about work in a different way and think about how to apply these and make these accessible, some of these things that we're talking about, accessible to small, medium-sized enterprises or to organizations that are striving to be Fortune 500, striving to be the best of the best. There is a unique and a beautiful moment in time right now where all these technologies are accessible and a lot of principles are very available to allow people to be successful and grow their business. And I personally have a thesis where I think you can actually build a $3 billion company with 3 people. And I've tested this thesis a couple times. And this story is about failure and failing forward. I mentioned a lot about Spin Master and the hyper growth that they achieved, in the less than 5 years that I was there. But post that role and leaving Spin Master, my cousin and I, really my cousin started a instant home services app. and I joined them right away. And we deployed this in 30 different cities, and we grew it. And we have a user base of 2,000 active users a month. So it's pretty solid and pretty amazing. But we learned a lot through a lot of hard lessons and a lot of failures. And it's still not, like cataclysmic, like awesome, amazing story. It still hasn't jumped up yet. And this has been operating since 2017. So that was kind of interesting learning about the app side of the business or the world, and how to navigate that. Me and another former actor turned entrepreneur, Ali Bacha, we started a gaming company, media and gaming company, and we really looked at this technology and this opportunity, or this moment in time, to take all these things like blockchain and onboarding to the Web3 and decentralized finance, and we created this company, and we failed miserably. I blew a lot of my own retirement money and equity in my house to this project, which is still going. Like, we're on Coinbase, we still have a token, it's still operating. We have a lot of good momentum, some great assets, but a lot of lessons learned around that. And then most recently, I was at Knowledgehook, which is a B2B SaaS in the EdTech space. And that was amazing and really, really insightful, because they were a 7-year startup. And going from 7 years plus, number one, to survive after 7 years in the SaaS world, the software subscription or service industry, that's very difficult. And then to be able to generate revenue, $1 million, and then to be able to generate reoccurring revenue, those are all pretty amazing feats. And we were able to achieve that, and then not only stabilize our revenue to $1 million annual reoccurring, but then to grow it to almost 7 to 10 million in less than a year. And so a lot of lessons learned. And so, the next 10 minutes or so, I wanted to share some of those lessons. And everybody on this call that I know, and some of the folks that I don't know, and I hope to know soon, all of us are on different journeys in our business career. And some of us work for organizations where they pay us every 2 weeks, and the runway and the revenue is quite stable. Some of us are in startup organizations, or some of us are in organizations that are looking to transform. And regardless of where you are in the ecosystem, whether you're in a startup, whether you're an employee, or whether you're thinking about starting your own business or consulting firm, some of these lessons, I believe, are the inevitable path. They are things that you're going to learn. And so this is a warning story. I want to share some things that I've learned along the way. So beware. So one of the first lessons I've learned as a consistent theme, coming from corporations and then making the transition to the startup world, and working with other businesses and helping them grow and scale, what I've found is that the best organizations, the ones that are making profit year in, year out, the ones that have a great trajectory, they have a very clear problem statement. They know the problem that they're looking to attack. They know that there is a market aligned with this problem. They know that someone's willing to pay at least $1 to have someone else solve this problem from them. What I've found in myself and then other founders around me, the ones that maybe haven't gotten the traction that they're looking for, is that a lot of us have seen problems, but is it a commercially viable problem, or is it a problem that people are willing to pay for? That's a different thing. And if you and the team around you understand the problem statement and have a very clear problem statement, and then understand the market and the persona that goes along with this problem, then you're way ahead than a lot of your other competitors, likely, because some of the competitors may not have defined their problem well. They may have gotten a customer, they may have gotten some good traction, but to be able to repeat that over and over again, the individuals and the teams that have a problem statement that they've defined, they're looking to attack that problem, and they're looking to serve a specific target audience. You can call them a persona. and then they understand this persona well. They've met this persona. They've done the research around it, both qualitative and quantitative, and they have data to back that up. If they've put that persona at the center of that problem and they're looking to serve that person as that person's dealing with the problem, again, this is something that I've seen common, whether it's a Fortune 500 company, an aspiring organization, or a startup. The problem statement is something that I've seen as a common theme where in success. So that's one lesson that was very, very important. And and we'll probably go back to that in some of the questions that you might have after. The other one is that, thinking about the problem, do you have a problem that is so like there is enough need for it that you're willing to go broke to try to solve this problem? A lot of us kind of look at folks like Elon Musk and all these like stories like Jeff Bezos, where they were like poor at the beginning or at one point in time and they didn't have anything. And what I found is that this is not just common because it's like, and I think some of them have glamorized that story, but I know that I wasn't willing to go broke in some of the projects that I've been on, right? And then my current project, I'm willing to put everything I have on it, right? Even Secret Pirates, I was willing to put everything I have on it. My credit score is awful. Previously it's spectacular. I could walk into anywhere and they would give me credit. But right now it's poor, right? Because I am willing to put every penny I have to this business because I know that the problem is a real problem. In the case of Talent Samurai that I just founded, I know that, companies and recruiters and talent acquisition folks, they're spending 6 to 8 weeks on work that could be automated. And I think about folks like Simon DiMatteo, who's on this call, and some other leaders that are here that are like doing backbreaking work and, physically going through resumes sometimes. And there is a better way, right? And I do think about them and have empathy towards them. And I want to solve that problem for them. And I want their lives to be better for that, right? I remember working with, Brian's on the call. The goal and the vision at Best Buy was making life simple and easy, right, for people through technology, through consumer goods. I want to make people's lives simple and easy, in other ways right now, and I'm willing to go broke for that because I know that the return on investment will come eventually. The other thing that I've learned is that you may have this thesis, this problem statement, you may have done the research, you may have even put together over a couple months a business plan that has been approved by somebody somewhere. What I've found is that some people are very they have a fixed mindset and they're like, I need to, solve it this way, this specific way. And so they have one way of solving that problem, and they're not iterative and they're not, flexible, and, they don't have an open mindset. The folks that come from Spin Master, we all talked about Susan Dweck's book, Open Mindset. And, what I found is that the founders and the business leaders that are the most successful is that they have an idea or a North Star or a problem statement that they're solving, a persona that they're solving for. But the way that they get there, they're open and they're willing to try different means and methods to be able to do that. And that's what I love about this moment in history. With all the different technologies available, there are many ways that you can attack a problem. And I also love this moment in time where there's been a business case made for diversity, equity, inclusion, where the more people you surround yourself with different ways of thinking, you can attack that problem in a different way and solve it and make money off of it, right? And this is something I know that a lot of us in our careers have been successful, is when we had an idea or a principle or a guiding principle or a goal, but the way that we got there, we were flexible and we were adaptive. And I think that's extremely important for people to be flexible in this very volatile, uncertain, ambiguous world that we live in. The other lesson that I learned along the way was um, this is a scary part. So if you are leaving a corporation, and I'm not encouraging anyone to or not to, or you're in a part of an organization that is in a startup mode and you're like starting from nothing, or you're a founder, or you've made the transition to self-employment, it is a very scary and uncertain place. And I would say that as a person openly that, I struggle with mental health, and this definitely the last 5 years have tested everything about me. And it is black, it's dark, like I don't know. And although people may have claims of how to navigate through this, you're the one that has to go out there and try to make a dollar and sell to the next person. And it is a very lonely place, even though you've surrounded yourself with great people. I mean, I have amazing people like all of you that are on this call around me, but it is a very uncertain and unforgiving place. And going through different emotions is actually very normal. Like, I've called Hesse, who's one of my mentors here, and she's walked me off the ledge several times in the sense that, I'm like, should I be doing this? Is this a good idea? Is this not? It's not getting enough traction. Someone didn't want to invest, and you're going to go through so much rejection, like so much rejection, that you're going to question yourself. Like Ali and I at Secret Pirates, when we were making the Secret Order of Lumiii, we went through almost 257 pitches to investors, early stage, late stage VCs, before we got our first investment, our first check. And luckily we did. We raised a lot of cash for that project, which is still going again. But it was uncertain, and it tested every moment of you, and every part of you, and every neuron and muscle in your body. So be prepared for that. The last thought I wanted to do and make sure you had is that I know everyone goes to like Indigo and places and like Amazon and read books, but there are some amazing stories that are out there that are free. And if you are a founder, whether it's a B2B or a B2C founder, so meaning you're selling to other businesses or you're selling to direct to consumer, these 4 articles, or some of them are actually not even articles, I think they're blogs. And these 4 individuals, their stories and their points of view, they're considered, I would call it, and actually my cousin calls it, the inevitable path. What I've found is that a lot of us think that we have an innovative idea. And I really challenge the idea of innovation, or using the word innovation. You may have a different way of applying an innovative product, or means or method, but your idea likely may not be innovative. Like it may not be truly that there's nothing out there like that. Very few organizations hit that mark. A lot of them get to that unicorn status. But the reason why I wanted you guys, if you can do a screen grab on this or just ask me, I'll send you the links to these places. But like, the founder's dilemma goes through a lot of the emotions that people will go through, a lot of the pushback, the different stakeholders and shareholders that you'll meet. Do things that don't scale is really pushing the idea of problem solving, and great way of attacking that. Steve Blank's Search versus Execute, another one. The guys at Knowledgehook were amazing, and they really loved this one. And then Balaji's The Idea Maze also helped set the groundwork and framework for some of the biggest investment firms or VC that's out there in I forget what the capital group is, but anyway, so these are some required readings. Regardless of where you are in your journey right now, I would definitely read these right now. Last couple points before I go back to Rutuja, is the importance of the business plan. It's so funny. This business plan idea has been here for like decades, almost maybe longer than that, and it's the inevitable path. Everybody has to have a business plan. If you have a customer right now and you're serving that customer and they're probably going to be here for a couple of years and you're making money, good. But in the background, leverage a large language model like ChatGPT and really start asking yourself the business. What is your business? What is the problem you're solving? Who are your key partners? What is your key activities? What's your value propositions? Who are your competitors? What channels are you using? These questions are universal and they are important regardless. Don't shortcut this. If you are going to shortcut this and you're like, I could do this later, you're going to have a problem later, and it's going to creep up on you very quickly. So while people are winding down the year and thinking about the new year and thinking about January 2nd, and I'm like, I'm going to hit the ground running, take this time and run through the business plan. And I know a lot of folks up on the call would definitely help. I know the folks at Altitude Accelerator and other programs out there would definitely have tools to be able to do that. And then I would also say that as a Canadian business person, as a business person here in Ontario, your business plan will be different than something coming out of Silicon Valley or New York. There are little nuances that you definitely need to do. So don't just use something boilerplate that other people are using at a Y Combinator, even though that is probably one of the biggest bars out there, in terms of or standards out there. But like the stuff in Canada, I would definitely encourage you to use. The other lesson I wanted to make sure is that as you create a story and you understand the different needs and the different applications of your product, solution, or business, know all the people in your network and what they actually do. Some of those friends and family could be early stage investors. Some of them could help you through the bootstrapping stages of starting your business. Some of them could be the persona, right? Like I think about Crystal Delos Reyes. When we were building Lumiii and thinking about decentralized finance and how you onboard families so that her and her daughter Mia, she's setting Mia up for financial success. We used her as a persona when we were making decisions, right? Knowing accelerators and incubators, the ones that are associated with Altitude, knowing the difference between a seed investor, an angel investor, crowdfunding, the bank, the government, community, venture capital groups, loans. Where can you get capital or cash to be able to continue to make your vision come to life? Knowing who your customer is, or maybe they may not be paying today, but this is the type of person I want to be selling to. That persona, your pilot customer is different than your long-term customer, than your target customer. Your beachhead customer is a little bit different than that. Like these are all different people that, amazingly enough, living in Southern Ontario and Canada, or in this very globalized world, these are the people that are already in your network, and it's just a matter of asking them. And I know a lot of your friends and family and community will definitely help you, but knowing that not everybody's going to listen to your problem statement the same way, and so knowing how to tweak your messaging to each one of those folks. I really screwed this up because I probably went to people that I shouldn't have in the last 5 years at certain stages that I shouldn't have, and they're probably like, Mehdi's gone crazy. I don't know what is he up to. Now I know what stage I should be pulling people specifically in, and what role that they could play in building this vision. So knowing your audience and knowing how to tweak your messaging to that audience. So, in summary, like the things that I've learned over the last 5 years, making the transition from corporate to the entrepreneurial world, a founder of a B2B SaaS company that will employ 10,000 people and will be $1 billion company. I'll tell you this, I know this is being recorded. Embrace the uncertainty. Like it's part of it. You're going to go through different emotions. Make sure you pick up the phone and call your friends, and and if you're emotional, you're emotional. That's cool. And if you're happy, you're happy. If you're proud, you're proud. But you're going to go through all the different emotions and embrace the emotions that go along with uncertainty. Know that there's an inevitable path. You can't outsmart like all the thousands of startups that are out there and the successful organizations. And so as you maybe work with organizations like Altitude or Diem Mississauga or some of these other organizations or other founders networks, there are inevitable paths and ways to do things. And so have that idea, but be iterative and be open-minded, have an open mindset to like use different means and methodologies to attack the problem that you're trying to solve. And know your stakeholders in your world, not shareholders, but stakeholders, and know that they value different things. But they are all in your world for a reason. And so leverage your network. And I don't do a good job of this sometimes. I'm always very cautious. I'm like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to, but a lot of people love, giving. I know my super strength and my superpower is, active listening and first principles and, going to what the textbooks say and what are the blueprints. I know that those are some of my strengths. I know I'm a relator. So if someone came to me and said, hey, Mehdi, like, what did this company do? Or how did they attack that? I love talking about that stuff. So you can call me for that anytime. And I know that other people on this call or in your network, they love talking about their subject matter expertise or domain expertise, another term that I learned along the way. So if you have a domain expert in your network, call them and they'd love to probably share that information. Don't abuse them. You won't, which I know a lot of you won't, but definitely share that. So these were some of the lessons that I learned. And I'm in my late 40s and I now know what I want to do when I grow up. It took me a little bit of time. It took me, a first career to figure that out. And I feel that this is my origin story. And the last lesson I really want everyone to really come away with is that if you are a founder of a business or you've gone out and you're an entrepreneur or a co-founder or whatever, remember, you're the one that's the founder. You're the one that's going out there. You're the one that's like really taking the shot that other people are way too conservative to and they weren't ready for. And I was that guy working at Spin Master, McDonald, Best Buy, Publicis, Intact Insurance, like all these places, Green Shield. I was on the other side and I was always terrified of making the leap. And I'm not saying the grass is greener. I'm definitely not saying that. But I do know that this is what I want for myself at this point in time. And that I know that some of the people that are giving me advice, they have a very luxurious place to be. They might have money, they might have funding, they may have a network, they may have customers, they may all have a paid job, but they don't know and they're not living the life that I am. And I have to always remind myself that I'm the founder, I'm the one taking the shot, I'm the one that's making myself vulnerable, and I should be proud about that. And I should listen to my inner voice along the way. Again, take advice, know the inevitable path, but at the end of the day, the accountability goes to you. And so with that, I thank you for giving me 37 minutes of your time in this time of the year. I know a lot of you have already had to leave. Some of you are going to be listening to this recording, but I'm grateful for you listening to my origin story, and I hope that you stay tuned and follow me on LinkedIn and our company, Talent Samurai, as we really change the way people work. So with that, I will hand it back to Luxottica.
Thank you so much, Mehdi. Thanks for sharing your story. It was really inspiring, as well as you were very candid about your journey. So that's what founders like to hear. Like, what are some of the hurdles you went through? What worked? What did not work? So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to open the forum now for Q&A. So feel free to unmute yourself, ask the question directly to Mehdi, or put it in chat, and I'll pick it up from there. You got a lot of comments in the chat. I'm just going to read them out. So Sheldon White is saying, grass may not be always greener. Following your passion and what suits your lifestyle is priceless and rewarding. We have Justin who said, great job. Sheldon, well done, Mehdi. We have Susan who said, thank you, Mehdi. Very interesting and inspiring. Antoinette, thank you, Mehdi. And Shah Manzoor, very inspiring.
Cool. I will just, around the grass is not greener. I wanted to say one last thing. It's a 7-year journey. Like, I planned that it's going to be a 7-year journey. I think that there's some amazing stories out there of people like skyrocketing in less than 18 months. And those are not the norm, right? Like I think what I learned at I mean, at Spin Master and at Knowledgehook was that, it's like 7 years before you kind of get your bearing. And so I know that when I took this leap, especially this round, that I'm probably not going to make money for 7 years. I hope to do it a lot earlier, but this is a 7-year journey. So, the grass is definitely not greener.
Yeah, it's tough, right? But I definitely want to say, like, your personality shines through your journey. I have met so many founders on a daily basis. I've been doing this for past 3 years, and even your team cohort members like Ishan and Mohammed, they said from day one, Mehdi was our leader. He was our go-to guy if we are confused about anything, and he just took us along with him, even though we have different businesses. He was always helpful. So that's something very commendable about you.
Well, and again, I think a lot of the folks that are on the call, they've been part of my journey, and like, we've all learned a lot together. And like, I'm an older cat, right? Like, and so some of the founders that are like in their 20s, which I'm like, man, you guys are so smart. What you guys are going to achieve, later on, like I can't even imagine. It's unfathomable. But so I want to pay that forward also. There's an inevitable path. They're going to learn things, and I want to share what I learned along the way so that they don't make those mistakes as well. So, but some great, amazing founders here in Toronto, in Canada,
Yeah.
and around the world as well.
Agreed. I have one question for you in the chat
Yeah.
from Murad. With all the projects you have worked on, it looks like a lot of times they were overlapping. How did you manage your time and prioritize what to work on?
Yeah. This is where, I mean, one of my superpowers, and it's not something proprietary to me. It's Dwight Eisenhower's matrix. It's like something in like an old textbook you probably learn, and it's like urgent versus important. And one of the things that I've always done, ever since probably when I was like in my early 20s, is at this time of the year I usually sit down and do a retreat for myself, and like I reflect. I reflect on what I achieved this last year, what I did well, what I didn't do well, and I start
Mhm.
thinking about the future. And I've done this again since I was in my mid 20s, and I know what's important to me. And what Dwight Eisenhower and the Eisenhower Matrix says is that like there's things that are urgent and things that are important. Important things are moving your vision and your goals forward, and things that are urgent are moving other people's goals and vision forward. And so, I've known throughout, like, while I had a full-time job and maybe work on a business plan on the side, that that business plan is important to me. So I need to dedicate 45 minutes a day to that. And now with like agentic AI
Mhm.
and LLMs, I could probably, what I achieved in a month, I could achieve in 45 minutes. But I knew that it was important for me to carve out that time. So there's a self-discipline that I know as a superpower of mine, and a level of focus that I've always had. And then I also know that although it's moving other people's goals forward, those things that are urgent, it's important because sometimes those are the companies that are paying my bills, right? And so I have to take care of that urgent and important item, or that urgent
Mhm.
item, even though it's not important to me, because that's how I get paid. And that's how I pay for my mortgage and all that stuff. And so it really is understanding my stakeholders in my life, understanding all the things on my task list that I have to do, and then really assigning like what's urgent, what's important. The developers in the world or in the call, they probably have like P1s and all that stuff. It's the same thing, and so I've been able to do that throughout my career. I took my vacations. When I took my vacations, I probably worked on my business plan, things like that. But there was a lot of overlap, a lot of time management, a lot of missed time management, and then again, someone that struggles with mental health, a lot of mental health days, and talking through it, and yeah, so I think it's really knowing, again, like it's a 7-year journey. Things are not going to go linear, and I have people in my life or resources in my life, but I also have to. I have things I got to do, like urgent and important things that I got to do every single day, and be honest and accurate about that. I hope I
Thank
answered
you.
that question, Murad. I hope that was Murad.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Maddie. We have one more question from Shah Manzoor. He is asking, as your business grows, as your team, so as your team, what's the best way to bridge with the new generation if you want to blend the Gen Z or alphas in the multicultural, multi-diverse workspace? What's the
Yeah,
best way to engage and onboard eh, all, yet motivate them for growth?
yeah. There's probably 5 layers to that question. So first off, like as a founder and or like a startup founding team, I think that there and Levon's on this call. Levin, he is a founder or another person that's worked in the startup world. Like you'll need people with specialties. Like I know I have domain knowledge in HR in the HR tech space, but I don't have domain knowledge in like technology itself and coding and stuff. I don't have I have my background in accounting, but I need a finance person. And so I need to continue to surround myself with the right people, right? That have the right temperament, the right values, and all that stuff. So that's one part of it. And so I got to be very, very discerning, very almost critical, and not just bring people in all the time. I have to be very calculative around the people that I keep like right in the business and even higher. And so I think like the founding team is critical. And then I think understanding the values, the mission, the vision, the values, and having alignment along that. And as I meet people along the way, I'm like I really liked working with Ruchita, and I like this about her, and she has this domain expertise, and she's honest, and she loves serving others, and she's quite organized. She would be a great person for Talent Samurai. I'm not recruiting you, but like, but of the ratio that I've seen, and a lot of us, come from a recruiting background, we saw that the ratio is like a 1 to 100 ratio. For every 100 people we meet, one of them is really going to be the one that I want to bring on board. Very, very important, right? And I think, as I bring those, go from 1 to 3, 3 to 10 people, which is going to be a hard thing, and people may leave. I think it's really about the importance of trust and establishing trust. And trust comes from getting to know that individual and having them get to know you for who they are and what they do. But also, I think now the HR person in me is coming out. It's making sure that they understand what's expected of them very clearly, and they know what's expected of you very clearly in this founder employee relationship or whatever. And that, in a very agile environment, an environment that's very volatile and changing and uncertain, that deliverables are not a year away, right? Like I need deliverable. Like, what am I expecting you from you at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter, and you as a leader, that's the burden of leadership, is like being that clear with those individuals, giving them clarity on their role and what they do. That's, I think, critical. And then along the way, asking them like, what do they know? What are they expecting from themselves? What resources do they need? What training do they need? What support do they need? And then removing those obstacles along the way, and then celebrating successes along the way as well. Like I loved my time at Best Buy and McDonald's, because we high-fived like every little celebration. And there was this idea that every little win turned into a big one, but you had to celebrate the little ones. So celebrate the little ones, because they'll turn into big ones, and big ones will turn into enormous ones. And that, that's how we grew across Canada. But again, the ratio of 1 to 100 or 1 to 50, having a bar that high about the people you surround yourself with, I think that's important. So yeah, so thanks, Shah. I think that was I hope I answered the question.
Thanks, Mehdi. And that was definitely an amazing question, like very relevant in current times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I don't see any more questions. Going once, going twice. Okay. Thank you so much, Mehdi, and thanks for all the audience who are there to support us and just be part of this session. Thank you for your time. And our next session would be in January. We do this on a monthly basis. We introduce some amazing founders like Mehdi who are contributing to this ecosystem in a meaningful way. So thank you so much for joining and have a great day ahead.
thank you, Rutuja and Altitude Accelerator, for what you guys do to make Canada better. I really appreciate it as well. So everybody, thanks for your time today. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.